What's up, people? We are back for another reaction video. Today, we are going to actually react to, in my opinion, some good financial advice. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But today, we're going to react to a couple of videos. The one is from the Makeshift Project. They put out some solid content. They used to talk about a top 10. And today, they're talking about the top 10 investments to start. And then after that, we're going to get into another video that's mostly dedicated to real estate and this young lady's journey on her real estate investments. And it's actually pretty good advice too, in my opinion. And she gives you the pros and cons of real estate. And that's what we're going to focus on today. After they give this top 10, and I'm going to go through the top 10 myself and try to relate this information to you as best I can. And we don't want to be dummies in this financial or this information age. A lot of information out there, good and bad. But you can do your own research. And that's what we're here to do today. Don't be no dummies. Do your own research. All right, let's get into it, man.
Best investment to start making money. This is via Grove Gallery.
This is not
Financial advice. I got this off the internet. The stock market? There's a lot. Can you be more specific? Bonds. Bonds is number 3 on the list. Grants. Grants is not there. The S&P 500 is what? Options.
An index fund.
That's number 5.
Invest in real estate.
Real estate is number 9. These are no particular order, so actually it's not a top 10, but
it's 10 things.
I just want to point out the fact that they say real estate is number 9. A lot of people are very high on real estate investing, and they don't really understand what they're getting themselves into. Now, I'm not completely trying to knock real estate. If that's your passion, that's what you want to do, cool. But real estate is very difficult to get into, and the fact that it's number 9 out of the top 10 should be intriguing. It's very intriguing to me. All right, let's continue.
what's a different type of fund if you and I go in it together?
A joint fund.
A mutual fund is number 4.
There we go. No, a savings account.
A high yield savings account is number 2.
What about any more stock stuff?
There's one that's stock, but it's like
Hey, I just want to point out, they said high yield savings account. And high yield savings account, they can fluctuate from 3 to I think 4.5%. Fact check me on that in the comments. But 3 to 4.5% with inflation ranging anywhere from 10 to 15%. I don't know how wise that is.
kind of fake money. That is on the list.
Trying to think of other stuff that you can invest in. Do you invest in like things that appreciate in value, like Rolexes?
Rolexes can be made of what?
Gold.
Gold. That's a great investment.
Silver.
Silver is not there.
You invest in art.
Art investments. I don't understand this one, but if you're getting like a piece from it could value over time. What are we?
Men.
Yes, and we're
Humans.
humans who are friends.
Friends.
Peer-to lending is number 6. I didn't think you were going to get that one. And then some of the bigger stock terms, a little bit more secretive.
Secret stocks. Insider trading.
Not insider trading. Private equity or hedge fund.
All right, let's just run down this list real quick. Private equity and hedge funds. If you ain't got no money, don't be worried about private equity and hedge funds. Those are an exclusive class of people, and you have to have significant and large amounts of money to be included in that elite class. 2, savings account. They talk about high yield savings accounts specifically. Like I said, inflation is going anywhere from 10 to 15%, and maybe higher depending on what buckets of things you're classifying. But that 4% sitting in the savings account, yeah, not rocking with that. Bonds, don't know enough about bonds, but bonds are definitely losing money over time because it's connected to the dollar, and the dollar is losing value in real time. Mutual funds, definitely if you are trying to have stable percentage growth year, mutual funds are nice. Index, same thing. Peer-to-peer lending, which is actually very popular in crypto. That's how I learned about peer-to-peer lending. And they talk about crypto being fake money, which I understand some people's opinion, but having a healthy amount of skepticism is good. Gold, don't really rock with gold, but I know a lot of people invest in gold. Gold is an infinite asset. There's always been gold found. And I don't see the point of investing in assets that are infinite. Crypto, I am big to crypto, Bitcoin specifically. Especially since it got classified as property. That put us in a new category, and you can. It's an investable asset that is global and can and in my will increase over time. Real estate, number 9. We're gonna dive deeper into that, but I'm not. I have no aspirations to be a landlord or make real estate investment. I do not invest in real estate. My parents have. We've had Airbnb, but We'll get into more of that later. Art investment, I don't know enough about art. I know it can be lucrative if you know what you're doing, but I don't know what I'm doing in art. So let's move on. Let's react to the next video. Now, before we get into this young lady gets to her journey and just really gives you the nuts and bolts of what you need to understand when it comes to real estate investing, because a lot of y'all don't know what y'all getting yourselves into. Like, it's kind of, but let's rock.
In only 18 months, and now I regret it. Just to show you, here's a 2-unit property I own. Here's another one that's a 6-unit apartment building. And here's another one. And there's even more properties.
Fast forward a little bit so she could talk about these months. When we here for one,
investors teach about buying rental properties, rehabbing them, renting them out to tenants, and then refinancing them with the bank, just to only cash flow $300 per month. And that $300 per month may sound like a small amount, but when you have a lot of units, that amount adds up. For the 22 units that I own with my business partner, we roughly cash flow on an average of $600 per month, and that's per unit. And on a monthly basis, that comes to $13,200. And on an annual basis, each year, that comes to $158,400. And that's a big.
Hey, that's solid. 22 units is a lot. That's a manage for one. $600 at first, it didn't sound like a lot unit, but when she got into how much she make, $158,000 annually, I mean, that's solid.
Just for only owning 22 units. Now that we talked about the money side of things, you're probably thinking to yourself, Stephanie, why on earth would you regret buying all these properties and wanting to sell them if you're making well over 6 figures with them? Well, because I'm here to tell you the dark side of owning rental properties that the other real estate gurus won't tell you. I honestly thought that as we buy more rental properties that I would make more money. And as we continue to buy more, I just became more broke. So owning 22 rental properties looks great on social media, but in real life, it sucks. And the 6 figures that you see that we make from all these properties.
Hey, I know when you go and tell people you got 22 rental properties, it's a crazy flex. I mean, massive flex. But look, when you peek behind the curtain and actually see what's going on, you know, it's some hard work that goes into that, and it's not as glorious or glamorous as it might seem. Let's let her.
This isn't really 6 figures, because as you buy more and you scale, more of that money of that cash flow that you make just goes into buying more properties. And not only that, you have to remember you're dealing with properties and things happen. So a roof could go out, an HVAC system could go out, you know, windows could be replaced, and those are some pricey items. And that starts to add up. Look, think about it. Let's say you own a single family house and you decide to rent it out and you cash flow $400 per month. That's great. You know, that's above. Typical investors look to cash flow roughly $200 a month. So you're making $400 a month just from this one property. Now, let's say your roof goes out, and to buy a new roof, that costs $5,000. All your cash flow of that $400 per month is completely wiped out just because of that one thing, just because you have to pay for that roof. Look, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money.
All right, just real quick. So my parents had a house that we rented out years and years ago. And I think the monthly rent on that was about $450, but the house itself was only worth, I can't remember, it was like below $50,000. A small house in Montgomery, Alabama, and the renters paid $450. Now, I don't even know how much money my parents were making at the time. I was still decently young, so I wasn't privy to all that information. But me looking at $450 a month, I'm like, it's crazy. It's about cash flowing. People are happy to cash flow $200 a month. I mean, $200 a month, you probably gonna have to fix stuff. I just
Whether that's buying rental properties or not. I'm just here to tell you what my journey is and the ups and downs that have come along with it, just so it can help you along the way. Because at the end of the day, we all know that there are pros to rental properties and there are also cons to rental properties.
Sure.
Throughout us buying all these rental properties within an 18-month time frame, I quickly realized that we were becoming equity rich, but cash poor. And having a lot of equity is great, but equity does not put gas in my tank for me to be able to drive to the office and drive to appointments. I don't like living a life having to constantly check if my bank account is in the negatives or not. I just got tired of it, honestly.
Some of y'all doing that anyway.
And with you being equity rich
y'all
and
ain't got
cash
no
poor,
problem.
not having enough in your bank account, you have to think of those things. Like, are you going to have money for food? Are you going to have enough money to have gas? Are you going to have enough money for just the regular bills in your life? And that's where I just got over it, you know?
And that's what y'all really need to think about anyway. Like, you see all the things you have to check off, all the boxes you have to check off to make sure things are going properly. You need to do that in your everyday life first before you even think about investing in something else that's going to require more of your attention, more of your effort, more of your dedication. So basically get yourself together first before you start investing in properties.
I was just tired of living a life like that and just came to this realization where I just regret building and scaling this fast. And I want you guys to know that when you are dealing with rental properties, you need another source of income just to help you sustain. Because as I just said, you will be equity rich and cash poor if you do it this way and just build and scale so fast. So that other source of income that we took into consideration was wholesale deals. But unfortunately for us, our wholesale deals were very, very inconsistent. So we weren't making really any money from that. It was just the money from our cash flow. But you got to think about it. For us, there were some things that did need repaired. And when we had no money coming from wholesale deals, then we would use our cash flow money. But when we were low and didn't even have cash flow money to use that, then we would have to come out of our own pocket. And guys, remember I told you being cash poor and not having any money in the bank account? You're probably wondering, like, how are you gonna pay for repairs if you have no money from your personal pocket? Well, the bad thing we've done that I don't recommend is we just put it on credit cards. And that's where you get into a hole. And that's why I'm making this video, because I don't want you guys to be in the same position that I'm in. I want you guys to learn the lessons, learn the mistakes that I have made so that you don't have to make those same mistakes. So just remember, if you do want to build a rental portfolio, make sure you also have another source of income just coming in, because if you don't you may end up real broke.
That's what she's
Now,
telling you.
I want to
Do
talk
not
about
quit the day
self-managing
job.
your rental properties, because for us, that is what we did to save money. And to be honest with you guys, I honestly don't mind it. As long as you have your proper systems and processes in place, then it's more so of a piece of cake. And what I recommend you guys do, if you are buying these rental properties, make sure you're fully fixing them up, just so you're not getting calls in the middle of the night of tenants saying, oh, my toilet's broken, where if you just get a brand new toilet, then you're less likely to have that issue. So just repair your properties up from the jump instead of having someone move in right away. And make sure you have your right, proper systems and processes in place. Now, I want to get back into the money.
So basically, she's telling you to be proactive. If you do decide to go down this avenue, be proactive and put quality products into your home, so you don't have to go back and fix broken things all the time just because you decide to cheap out. Don't do that.
Side of things, because that's the main reason people truly buy rental properties, is to have that, financial freedom. I want to take a second to dive deeper on mortgages. And with you seeing that $300 per month cash flow, that's not because your utility bills are so high. It's honestly because your mortgage is so high with your principal and interest payments. For this 2-unit property that we own, that you guys have, unit is renting for $1,300 a month, and the downstairs unit is renting for $1,100 a month. Now, for the mortgage on that property, it is roughly $1,300 a month. So that upstairs unit already covers that mortgage, which is amazing. But we still do have utility bill payments on that. So we still cash flow a good amount on that, roughly around $600 per unit. But we have expenses no matter what. But I want you guys to realize that $1,300 from the mortgage payment that is principal and interest, which just that alone consists of $900, and then we have our taxes and insurance, which that's all included within the $1,300 a month. Think about it. That's a big chunk that is coming out of our cash flow. Like, wouldn't it be just to have an extra $900 per month in cash flow from just taking away that mortgage? That's what I'm like. I would like to have that extra $900 a month in cash flow, and that's where my mind's at. Like, I'm done worrying about scaling with no money, because I realize, like, it can be easily where you can buy so many rental properties or just properties in general, whatever you want to do with them, whether that's, fixing and mopping rental properties. You can do that with no money out of pocket. I mean, that's how from 0 to 22 units within 18 months. But it's honestly the riskier route if you don't have another source of income, because you slowly get into a hole and you have all these mortgage payments racked up. You have to make sure they're all getting paid, but you also...
All right, we're going to stop it right there. You get the point. Shorty giving you the pros and cons of actually investing in real estate and having multiple rental properties. She got a 22 rental property portfolio, which is very impressive. But you need to understand what you're getting yourself into. She's telling you you can buy a lot of things with credit, but some of y'all can't buy nothing with credit because your credit jacked up too. So first, if you even want to think you want to go down this route, you got to be able to fix your credit. You got to pay your bills on time. You can't be out here making bad decisions that's going to affect your credit when you're trying to get into a game that's going to require you to have good credit. So just first things first, you got to take care of the first thing before you decide to jump into this. Now, she touched on a lot of good points, and because we like to do our own research, we're going to go ahead and go to Google and let the AI do its job, because we like to do our own research, because ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance will keep you poor. So we're going to we put Google, real quick Google search, just ask what are some issues with real estate. I mean, just so you know, and she touched on a lot of these points, if not all of these points. So let's just go through a couple real quick. The financial viability and hidden costs. She said repairs. You got, besides the mortgage, you also have property taxes. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't know about property taxes. And if you do decide to go this route, if you home that's in a good location, you're gonna have property taxes that are gonna increase annually if your value of property more annually. And depending on where you live, depending on what state you live in, I know in California, you pay your property taxes along with your mortgage every month. And places like Alabama, where I'm from, you pay once or twice a year, if I'm not mistaken. Please fact check me. So these are costs that you may you may have to pay. But let's go on to the next one. Location and market dynamics. Of course, they always talk about location, about getting into the real estate game. If you own you just want to have a duplex or whatever you decide, you just want a residential property, you need to think about stuff like schools. You need to think about stuff like the neighborhoods. Are they big time projects like you got SoFi Stadium? I know a lot of people in Inglewood are getting priced out because SoFi Stadium is making everything in that area more expensive. They're building high rises, they're building hotels, they're building a lot of new businesses that make the property value of that area go up. And some people are selling because it's good to sell if you are looking to sell, or if you just looking to make a come up, you make it, so all that matters. All right, let's go to the legal and zoning regulations, something that a lot of people definitely don't know about. If you are trying to get into short-term rental rules, some cities and states have different rules, and you got to know what those rules are, because they might not allow you to have a short-term rental. You might not be in an area that wants that. So they have regulations and rules against that. So that's something you need to be aware of. All right, tenant and property management. So this is a huge one. When you have a property and you're trying to screen for tenants, it's a very cumbersome process, and you have to be very thorough, because if you got tenants that are not paying rent, then you definitely going to be losing money way faster than expected. And sometimes it's very hard to get these people out. I know during COVID in California, it was hard to get people out of home. People were staying at homes for years, months and years, without having to pay rent, just because they were protected. And then you got stuff like squatters, that if your home is not occupied, you got people that will be at your house, maybe in your backyard. Maybe they found a way inside your home. You just never know. It's crazy things that you learn when you get into real estate. Property management, I think she said she manages they manage properties, which is a job in itself. But it's probably better if you manage it, but you gotta have time you get in place to be able to do that. Or you can trust a property management company, and you run the risk of hiring a company that they don't care property nonetheless. They want the internet money. They aren't there to always make sure. They don't have your best interests at heart always. So that's what I can say about that. And it will save some money, but you're gonna have a lot more headache if you do it yourself. So all that to say, real estate is just not that easy. I really don't like when they pretend like real estate is just easy business that you can get into, and you don't have to. It's not a lot of pitfalls, and as soon as you get in, you're gonna win. It doesn't work like that. No investment actually works like that. You have to do your research. You have to do your due diligence. You have to take time and prepare, and you got to make sure your finances are in order before you start to embark on these types of missions. So these were some good videos today. I think they were very informative, very educational. If you took the time to make it to the end of this video, I appreciate you. Please like and subscribe and share it with. If you don't, I got to go back to work anyway. I mean, I appreciate you. Peace out.